I want to ask about, I think one of the most memorable promos in WWE that you were part of, and it was on Talking Smack. And that moment between The Miz and Daniel Bryan, what was actually going on there? Like, what was happening in your earpiece and what was happening in that whole segment?
I don't really remember much happening in my earpiece during that, except for at the very end. It's funny, Mike Mansouri, when I had him on my podcast, and now he's co-executive producer of AEW. What a huge asset he is for us to have. But he was a producer of the show during that time. And I remember him while all of this action is happening, he's not saying anything in my ear. I think he kind of knew. He was following Mike. He was following Miz to see what he was going to do, follow that promo, follow what's happening with Bryan. And I remember, like, while they're in the midst of all this chaos, he's saying to me, "Take us off the air now." And I'm like, "What?
Wow.
The F? Like, what do you mean take us off the air right now? Like, we are in the moment right now." But it was like his genius to have it just kind of wrap up as it was, with no real outcome, or like we didn't know where things were going to go after that moment with that promo. So yeah, that's really kind of what I remember of that, and just being in the middle and like being between Bryan and between Miz, and to see Miz cutting this promo on why he wasn't wrestling, why the Intercontinental Championship meant so much to him, and like to see his eyes welling up and these tears happening. I'm like, oh my God, he's crying. He's going to start crying. Oh my God, this is happening. And then he starts digging into Bryan, who, like, I've got so much sympathy for this man that has had to retire from his in-ring career. We don't know what this means. Where's things going to go for him? The injuries, rattling off all these things, that I'm like, do I have to fight the Miz right now? Like, holy shit, this is crazy. But yeah,
You kind of started to step in there and you were like, hey, wait a second. Like, this isn't about that.
I know, because I was like I knew that Bryan was like kind of between a rock and a hard place, physically at least, of like what he was going to be able to do, that I was like, oh my God.
And
that time, go
what
ahead.
Miz was saying was, like, there was a lot of truth to what Miz was saying.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. 100%. Like, there was just so much. It was like little truth bombs being dropped all over the place. And it was just like really rattling everybody. But to be in the heat of the moment like that, when you're really capturing lightning in a bottle, and I don't think I wasn't looking at it from like the entertainment aspect, so to speak. I was looking at it of like, oh my God, these are two human beings that I care about, and shit's going down.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it was crazy.
That might be Mike's best promo ever.
100%. And that really, like, that lit a fire under a lot of people's asses to not only, yes, he's an incredible performer, and I don't think he gets nearly the respect that he deserves. But it also reminded people of essentially kind of the purpose of what Talking Smack was. It's not Raw and it's not SmackDown. Let's make it something else. We're not going to always turn everything into a storyline, because you'll smell that coming a mile away. So when you can plant those little moments, it makes them so special. It was just such a cool moment in time of us doing that show. And it felt like we were just like off to the side, kind of doing our own thing. No one's really paying attention, so we could get away with kind of whatever. But it was after that moment that they're like, we're gonna start bringing in some writers on this show. And now Vince is like, producing the show. So yeah, every now and then Vince will pop in my ear. I'm like, oh my God, Vince is here. What's happening? I thought that we were just like doing this as like a little after hours program.
Talking Smack was fantastic. I don't know why they got rid of it.
Well, I mean, they brought it back, but it's not the same thing.
No. You should have some version of this for AEW.
I agree. No, I completely agree. I would love to do that. And it's, there's definitely like a little bit of a formula that you've got to kind of figure out. And it's also a really cool spot for performers that don't necessarily get all of that TV time on a Rampage, on a Dynamite. It's really cool, I think, for the wrestlers to understand how to speak as their character. And that was things that we would kind of fall into. We'd have certain people, and when you're used to being handed a script and used to kind of being told, this is your character and blah, 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 it's cool to see people just kind of get to live as that character while they're figuring it out. Of course, there's, so many people that are already very well-rounded and well-versed in that space.
Yeah.
But there are some greener talent that I think could really benefit from just getting to exist and talk and cut promos and whatnot as their character on television like that. The stakes aren't so high.
Yeah.